Yes, sir.
Get the point over. Did I get the point over?
You did. Yeah.
I mean, right.
Morning. Good morning.
If anybody is speaking on the public hearing, the sign-up sheet is on the podium.
Hey, Marshall.
Billy?
Good to see you.
You too. All right.
How are you today?
How are you? Good morning.
I would tell you to pull up the chair.
Hey, Bob, man.
Is Butler County in the house?
Yes, they in the house.
I'm with Butler County. How you doing?
They in the house.
He's
Is it
working,
across the street over there?
not right now, he's probably been here.
I wish more of my colleagues Did you see him?
I did.
Was he at the dime store?
He was going into the dime store.
Yeah, he and Darren, hunt, all the time together. I think they were hunting together today.
He's asking if he killed
All
him.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
he ready to
He said,
what
no, he didn't hunt it because he had not found it.
And Darren, he says that every time he calls, they go the other way, they quit talking back. They hear him until Reagan calls.
Right.
And they don't hear him anymore. So, yeah.
There you go.
They've been having fun.
And that was.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hi, Rachel Smith, Butler County.
I know you.
Stay right there.
How's everyone?
Chairman.
Chairman will bring them Mountain Dew. And the half of it, you don't bring the other hand.
All right, he got more.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to meet you.
I work for I would stay here for 4 more, just like it.
Yeah.
Big guy.
He thinks, yeah, nice.
He is fantastic, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then,
You're right. Somebody. I'm working myself on that side. I can't start it, sir. Just. Maybe just a couple months or whatever. That's fine. I'll be hurried, because I've got to get a price on. Okay.
So you can't set up that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Patrick. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Well done yesterday. Yeah, proud for you. Yeah, I know. Now we gotta move in the Senate right. Not sure I can help you there. Not that I don't want to.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
We're here.
I know we are.
So we left here this morning.
I know, I know. Well, we got the budget passed, so
That's,
that's the thing, that's the thing.
that's what we supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. That's not the only thing,
That's
right?
that's our
Civic.
mission. That's the
Yeah.
constitutional.
No, y'all got bills. I'm the only one that didn't. No, man.
You had like 10 or 15 that you already done.
Morning, Philip. Appears we now have a quorum, so the clerk will call roll.
Chairman Maker,
Here.
Representative Horton, Representative Jackson.
Here.
Representative Lawrence, Representative Wadsworth. Representative Lipscomb, Representative Fincher, Representative Klaus, Representative Woods, Representative Underwood.
Here.
Representative Sellers. Representative Givens.
Here.
Representative Ensler.
Here.
And Representative Fittler.
Here.
Thank you. To all those that are here for this bill, this is SB 287 by Senator Beasley regarding Marbury County and Sheriff qualifications. We will not be taking a vote on the bill today. There's been a public hearing that's been called, and so we will conduct the public hearing today. A vote then will be forthcoming sometime thereafter. There's not a designated time at this point in time. Okay. So I would ask then the sponsor, Senator Beasley, you have the floor then. So if you'll just give us an overview of the bill, and then we'll go from there and move into a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Senate Bill 287 is a local bill to provide qualifications in order to run for the office of sheriff of Marbury County. Some of the qualifications that represent the citizens of Alabama, citizens of Marbury County. 25 years of age, had 5 years experience in law enforcement. I sponsored the bill because I think it's a good bill. And I understand that about 13 counties in the state of Alabama that have qualifications on their books in order to run for sheriff of that county. I think Monroe County may have a bill this session. I sponsored the bill because I think it's a good bill. We have a good sheriff. It's in his second term in Marbury County, doing a good job. And, he asked me would I sponsor the bill. And I was delighted to sponsor it. And I endorse it. Pass it in the Senate.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions from the committee of the Senator?
I do.
Representative Givens.
Senator Beasley,
Yes.
is there a requirement for after you've retired from, say, the Sheriff's Department, you were working in law enforcement there, is there a time span of how long you can be retired before you're eligible to run for sheriff?
It's not in the bill.
Okay, right, that's what I need to clarify. Thank you.
It's not in the bill.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend you, Senator. I passed legislation this year for Monroe County. And I feel that we need the best qualified person on law enforcement because of what is happening now. It's more than just sitting at the desk and going out arresting people. You got to have some information that know how to deal with all the aspects of law enforcement. So we want the best qualified people in office representing us. So I think that this bill, I'm just gonna let it stay for bringing it.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Senator Beasley. I would allow then Representative Ford, I would mention of the legislators that actually represent directly Barber County would be Senator Beasley and Representative Ford. Representative Ford, any comments you would like to share?
Yeah.
This same bill came before in the Senate last year, maybe the year before, I think it was last year. And I was against the bill. I didn't like the bill. Sheriff called me up and sat down with me and said, I took all that stuff out what you worried about. And I agreed with him, I would go along with it this time. I do think it's a good bill. And I've been getting calls and you name it from both sides. Baldwin County. Some say we like the bill, some say it's a bad bill. That's how I got involved in it. I'm out and down the house and then that's gonna pay the list, and I said, yes. I said, no, it ain't gonna pay. So, we just wanted we wanted to go a different route than we've been going. Not saying nothing about the other sheriff. I know all the sheriffs we had, and all of them was good sheriff. All of them, every one of them, all of them my friends. But when the sheriff went up, sat down, line by line, and showed me what he had took out, I decided to go along with the bid.
I would just want, any questions of Representative Ford from the meeting? Thank you, Representative Ford, thank you so much. At this point then, we will move into our public hearing. I would ask that each speaker then we'll have a 3-minute time. You got the timepiece? Okay, thank you. Very good. So beginning first, this would be an opponent. This would be Rachel Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Commissioner Rachel Smith, Barber County, District 1. Thank you for allowing me and my fellow commissioners to address you today with concerns and opposition to from the community and the local governing body of Barber County with SB 287, Section 1B, 5, 7, and 8. This bill would exclude a numerous amount of qualified candidates for the elected office of sheriff in Barber County. Barber County is the home of 2 state prisons with personnel who are APO certified, but they lack the power to arrest, so they will be excluded. A large group will become a candidate, and also there are many potential candidates who have earned criminal justice degrees and other forms of certification, but SB 287 will prohibit them. And number 8, it states as an officer, if an officer has been retired or separated from active duty as a police officer for 5 years, they must become recertified as a full-time active police officer before qualified to be a candidate to be elected to sheriff in Barber County. Why should a person with years of law enforcement experience have to return to a full-time active police office position before qualified in a county elected office with all those skills and experience? In my studies and research, I read that a sheriff cannot write the qualification for the office they hold. The qualifications are typically established by state law or by the Pacific County Charter and are not determined by the individual serving in that office. We must consider the sheriff is an elected official who is accountable to the public, and the qualifications are set in place to ensure a fair and objective process for choosing the person suited for the job, regardless of their performance and personal views. Allowing the sheriff to write their own qualification would create a potential conflict of interest and could undermine the integrity of the election process. The qualification to become sheriff is already outlined in Alabama code. And if there's a need to make changes to the outlined code, there should be public hearings and input from the local governing bodies. We are aware that the sheriff does not work for the local governing body, but both are accountable to the public. And with Barber County being a small county with less than 24 residents and 19,000 registered voters, if we change this bill, how it's outlined, there will be less than 40 potential candidates to run for sheriff in Barber County.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Members, I would also ask at this point, if you do have any questions, you just jot down a question of a specific speaker or such, and then at the very end, if you would like to question any one of those, we can have any individual speaker come back up and try to answer any of your questions. So if you do have a particular question, then just jot that down and reach the person speaking. Next would be an opponent, then Jerry McGilford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jerry McGilvery. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Barber County Commission. I represent District 5 in Barber County. Currently serving my 2nd term. I serve parts of Eufaula and the south end of Barber County. The proposed legislation was, first off, just like last year, was discussed behind closed doors at a closed meeting with no input from the commission nor the public. The process of these discussions in a closed environment should be disturbing to all the citizens. No matter where you stand on this matter, when it happens, it only is when it's too late that we can do something about it. Government is in secret, such as the way this process was done, should be a concern of us all. Government works best when it is open and transparent. This process was very far from being transparent and open. There was no public input from anyone in the county, anybody in the cities, or any other governing agency. Once it's published in the paper, it's published for 4 weeks, that bill is yours. There's nothing you can do with it. There are 8 sections to the bill, and you've all have read this bill, and I'll admit that I don't have a problem with sections 1, 2, and 3, or 4. Section 5, I have some questions with, because that concerns the power to arrest. Again, as Commissioner Smith said, there may be very qualified people that could run for this office, but do not have the power to arrest, whether they may be prison guards or constables or anybody else. But they have no power to arrest. Section 6, I totally agree, we don't need felons running the sheriff's department. Section 7, person would have to be currently in law enforcement. Again, what about retired persons that have many years of experience but are being shut out because they're retired? Under Section 8, the proposed legislation, if a person has been retired for more than 5 years, they won't be able to run unless they get recertified again. There are many retired persons who have spent 20 to 25 years in law enforcement. They may lay out for 4 or 5 years and say, hey, I want to run for sheriff. Now they can't do it. They're shut out. The current sheriff touts on about several counties that have passed sheriff qualifications bill. And he's touted this on all his videos. He's good at videos. He mentioned this last year, and I personally called the counties. In every county he discussed last year, and even in Monroe County this year, the sheriffs worked with the county commissions to come up with these standards. Nothing like that ever happened to us. We were completely shut out. It was done in a closed room by a certain number of people. It should be noted there are 7 commission districts in Bartow County. At least 5 of us have voters in the city of Eufaula. There was some concern, I think, about the city of Eufaula. Over half of my voters are in Eufaula.
If you'll wrap up rather quickly.
Huh?
If you'll wrap up.
I can wrap up real quick. On March 24th, the county commission passed a resolution opposing this resolution, of which you have a copy of. It should be noted that 6 of the 7 commissioners voted to oppose this legislation, with 1 commissioner who is a reserve deputy voting to support the resolution. Before I end my statement, the sheriff is currently up for re-election, having been elected twice under these current standards. The bill unfairly limits the potential competition since it changes the rules to favor the incumbent. In other words, he's moved the goalpost. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you. Next would be a proponent, Tyrone Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Wow. A lot of what you all just heard is not true. All right, just being honest with you, so much about it is not true. But I don't have 3 minutes, and I don't think I have enough to address all that. But I will say good morning. I appreciate you for allowing, first of all, Sheriff Tyrone Smith, Bartow County. I appreciate you all, and I thank you all for allowing them to speak on their behalf, and then allow me to speak as well. And I also want to apologize to you all too for having to sit here and listen to all this nonsense, because what they're talking about makes sense to a very small group of people in the residents of Bartow County. For every person that this county commission can bring up here that opposes this bill, I can bring 5 to 10 that wants it and in favor of it. I can assure you. I just don't understand how something so positive that makes so much sense by so many people can be opposed by so few amount of people. Like I said, I wish I could address some of the things that they said. It's not true. I think one of them is section 5 where they said you out of the, I'm not sure, but section 5 where they said you out for so much amount of time, you got to go back and get recertified. Y'all, that's the state law anyway. That's the law anyway. To be honest with you, that didn't even have to be in there. But that's one of their gripes. If you're in law enforcement right now, and you stay out of law enforcement over 2 years, and then you decide to come back in law enforcement, you got to go back and get recertified. You got to go through a recertification course. That's the way it's already set up already. There's so many things that they don't understand. And anyway, all right. So when I finish this term here, this term will end, my term will end in January of 2027. At that point, I will have 34 years in the Alabama State Retirement System. So let me ask y'all this. Who do you think, somebody with 34 years of law enforcement experience, would you take their word for what they think is best for public safety, or somebody that's never had any experience in law enforcement at all? I'm not knocking what they do, but I'm not going to tell them how to do their job, and they shouldn't be telling me how to do mine and what needs to be done. My thing is, just like this gentleman here said, times are different. We can't do things the same way we used to do. You got the former sheriff here. I would love to have been a sheriff when he was in office. He may have had 1 or 2 people that was in his county jail that had a murder charge. Guess what? Half of mine right now, half of my population murdered, attempted murder, or some type of egregious assault. You got to have someone in place that know what they're doing. You have to. It's a must. I can appreciate the prior sheriff and everything that he did. I think he's a good person. The sheriff before him was a good person too. But I don't believe that they could probably do what was done, what I needed to do. Like I said, there's so much more. It's just this. It wasn't a lot. I wasn't even able to get to a lot of it. But it just upsets me that they misinform people. They misrepresent their situation. I have met with all of them. And then Mr. McGilbert, he said that it was done behind closed doors. Well, the first time it was. But then the second time, I withdrew that bill with the assistance from the representative and the senator. I redone it. Okay, the second time we brought it up, I met with Ms. Smith in my office about it. That's not behind closed doors. She told me there was a few things that she wanted to take out of it, and I looked at it, and guess what? I compromised. I changed that in this bill. It went from, had 5 years, she wanted to go to 3 years. I had no problem going to 3 years, you know why? Because I already knew that 2 years was the law anyway. So it didn't really matter. That was number 5, I think it was. So there are several things that I met with them on. I met with the.
So you have something to try to be at least fair with all of them, if you will, if you try to wrap up very quickly again to allow all to stay close to the time frame.
I understand, and I'm done. But I will say this: we living in times now to where every county should have a sheriff that has some type of law enforcement experiences. Times are different than they used to be. They are. So with that being said, I certainly appreciate it. I appreciate y'all's time, but I really wish you was getting accurate information, but you're not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Smith. Next is an opponent, Jason Bennett.
Thank you. My name is Jason Bennett. I'm the county commissioner for District 1 in Barber County. Following the sheriff, I want to let you guys know that I had no conversation, no input, no one called and asked prior to it making the newspaper. That is a true statement. What we are concerned with is we're a border county. Georgia's right beside us. Fort Benning just north of us. This stipulation prevents otherwise qualified veterans and community leaders from running for this office, which is particularly disturbing considering that our population is shrinking. We're concerned that these restrictions will limit our pool of capable candidates at a time that we got to look to the future where we're expecting a substantial decline in percentages of population. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Last would be an opponent, Marshall Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of this committee. I am adamantly opposed to this bill. I'm going to read what I have for you. I would like to say that I was sheriff of Barber County. I was a fourth generation sheriff. My grandfather, my dad, and my uncle were sheriff of Barber County. We didn't have any law enforcement experience, but the sheriff's office consists of more than that. It's common sense, good judgment, of quality and fairness to all people. And they left out the greatest criteria for this job. We have good, competent people in Barber County, and they are knowledgeable about the law. We're not trying to keep law enforcement from running. Why should they try to keep the layman from running? They are competent, they are able, they are capable, and they do fine jobs. Apparently, we did, because they elected us, all four of us. And I implore you to not take this right and privilege away from the people of Barber County. It's not fair to them. They'll be appointing who our sheriff is going to be, and that's not a fair situation. I don't like it. I'm adamantly opposed to it, and you all shouldn't like it. And I hope that you will concur and do the right thing for the people of Barber County. And thank you for letting me speak with you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. With that, then, this concludes the public hearing. I would allow, well, let me go first for questions from the committee members. Are there any questions from committee members from any one of the speakers? Representative Fiddler.
Commissioner Smith, how do we know that, you said, you made the statement that we'll only have 40 potential candidates. How do we know this, and how do we know, and I have a second question, but how do we know this?
Could you step to the podium, please?
The way the bill is written, it says certified police officers only. The sheriff department have maybe 20, 30 certified police officers. You all have 18. Baker Hill has 2. Clayton has 2. Louisville has 1. That gives you a pool of less than 40 candidates. Those are the police departments in Barber County. And Kyle might have 2, but they still put you below 40 candidates. So that's a narrow pool out of 19,000 registered voters. Like I said, we have 2 prisons. And the majority of those personnel are APO certified, but they don't have the power to arrest. So that'll eliminate all of them. They're eliminated.
Is that a second question?
Yes, sir. That does.
Please go ahead.
The second question, what's the source of, we said the population was declining, Commissioner Bennett said the population was declining. What's our source?
That's off of the census.
Off the census?
Yeah. And it's actually, there's a really very good article written and on mail.com. If you go to follow Barber County population, you'll find it. And it's not only Barber County, but several counties in that area.
Any other questions from the committee?
I want the sheriff to come back in.
Okay. Is the sheriff available? I think he may be just outside the door. Sheriff, you've been requested to come back to the podium, please.
Okay, yes, sir.
Representative Jackson.
Yes, sir. That was a testimony made that sheriff, the next sheriff will be, people be appointing the sheriff. Is that gonna be an election?
Yes.
Sheriff, what was your inclination when it comes to making this opportunity available for status of running for sheriff?
For me, all right, for me, there's been so much work put into this. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by no means, but I do believe that we have done a tremendous amount of good for the sheriff's office as opposed to where it was. When you put that kind of work into something, you don't want someone to come in and just take it all backwards. Not saying that someone that's not APO certified can do a good job. That's not what I'm saying. I just feel like with things the way they are now, with crimes the way they are now, it's vital that you have the second highest law enforcement officer next to the district attorney's office in that county have some experience.
Thank you. Do you work with a task force in Barber County?
No, sir, I don't.
You don't have a task force?
We have a SRT team, it's a special response team in the sheriff's office, but it's not a task force. Now, several of my deputies are on a task force. It's a gang task force, but it's a conjunction with myself, our agency, Eufaula Police Department.
So you created your own response team?
Yes.
How is violent crime in your area district?
Oh, it's up. It's up. Of course, it's nothing compared to Montgomery because the population is not as much, but per capita, per person, it's pretty high.
I want to say, Mr. Chairman, that I live on a small rural area. On a smaller scale than here in Montgomery or Birmingham, but we have the same type of issues. And we need qualified people to make sure that drug trafficking, human trafficking. See, it's more than just wearing a badge and driving around with your lights on and pulling people over for traffic violations. There are crime going on, and we don't have the sources to know these things. Conspiracies are happening. So at this time, I applaud the people that are supporting a new way forward and protecting the citizenship that we all supposed to serve. We want to make sure that all of our citizens are safe, even us here. And so those are portions that want to stay in and yesterday, it's a new year, 21st century. It's time to make changes and move forward rather than hold on to what used to happen. But we didn't have that crime. I taught school. You know what crime was in school? Smith bars and putting tax in jail. Now you got guns in school. So things have changed.
Last thing, Mr. Chairman, I will say this. I want you all to understand that this bill neither hurts me or helps me. It doesn't. And she's saying that one of them said something about eliminating competition. Do you think I would much run against someone that's not certified than somebody that's got 25 years of law enforcement experience coming in there to run against me? I think my challenges would be better with that person that has the same amount of experience as I am, as opposed to somebody that decided to come out the cotton field and say, I want to be sheriff. I don't think he will have a good chance, he or she will have a good chance of beating me in an election. I just don't believe that. So it's a lot, it's just not, it's not true.
Representative Fiddler.
What, and I don't know, Sheriff, you're the one that needs to answer this, but my question is, like, how does this, what more do we ask for in this bill than is already state law? You said number 8 was already state law.
I don't have it in front of me. Can you read it, please?
Number 8 is the individual has not been retired or separated from full-time active law enforcement certified by commission for more than 5 consecutive years immediately prior to the qualification date or appointment date, or the individual has obtained a recertification of full-time active law enforcement status or as a law enforcement officer from the commission. But you mentioned that was already in state law. Is that accurate?
That is, yes. And what that is, okay, the way it is now with APOS, if you are, like I said again, if you are out of law enforcement for 2 years or more, if you decide to come back into law enforcement, you have to go back through an APOS recertification course. That's after 2 years and then you come back. If you are out 10 or more years, you come back, you've got to go back through the entire process all over again.
How long does the recertification take?
3 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks. So yes, if you're out for 2 years or more, and that means that you are certified and you're out of law enforcement, then when you decide to come back, and if it's been over 2 years, you got to go back to a 3-week refresher course through APOS.
Representative Sellers.
I guess I have two questions. One, what are the current existing qualifications to be sheriff in Barber County, if there is any, and what is consistent across the state of Alabama in other counties? Because I serve in Jefferson County, and you cannot be or not have a post certification and become sheriff. That line.
looks like, I see both the sheriff maybe could make a remark as well, then Commissioner McGilvery, I think you want to respond as well, so I'll allow both. Sheriff, do you want to respond first to that, what's current?
Yes,
Commissioner, you'll have the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the 13 counties in Alabama that has changed their requirements. Jefferson County is one of them. I have the dates and all that stuff. Now, I'm sorry again. Qualifications now?
What are the existing qualifications to run for sheriff or to be sheriff
In Barber County.
in Barber County?
Okay, very minimal. All right, you got to be 18 years of age or older. You got to be a citizen of the county. You got to be in a position to be to run for sheriff, and it's something else. That's all. I mean, it's very minimal, very minimal.
No training.
No training required. No training required. 18 years old, and it's like I said, y'all. It's just it makes sense to so many people, and so many few people opposed it. It just like I said. I apologize to you. You got to hear this.
Commissioner McGilvery, if you'll step to the podium, I think you want to respond in regards to the current qualifications.
The current state qualifications, these are from the Secretary of State's website. 18 years of age, resident of the county and state for 1 day, a U.S. citizen. It's a term of 4 years, and you can serve unlimited terms, and you cannot be a convicted felon. That's the Constitution. That's in the Secretary of State's page right now.
Representative Sellers, just a moment. Representative Sellers, any further questions?
So technically, the sheriff of Barber County is just an administrative position.
Representative Jackson.
Look, I was gonna say, that was 1801 Constitution.
1901.
1901 Constitution. This 2025.
Representative Wadsworth.
It was my understanding that a bill was introduced last time and then some changes were made to that bill. What were the changes that were made from the prior bill or things that were removed that from this bill?
Representative Ford, would you mind stepping to the podium? I think others might hear you.
I was concerned about the education. You gotta be highly educated and all that. There's a lot of, there's a lot of good folks who don't even have high school education. That's what I worry about. I forgot all the stuff he took out of there. I ain't got all that stuff with me. It's in my office, leave it in my house. That's why I changed my mind and went along with the bill this time.
I think that may have answered.
That answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Ford.
Okay, and this is for the sheriff. How important is the power of arrest for it to stay in this bill? Because like they were referencing some of them workers from prisons, they would be excluded from being qualified to run for sheriff.
That's not true. If they go to an APOS certified academy, then they will have the power to arrest. That's the whole purpose of going to that academy.
Okay.
You're not gonna be APOS certified unless you have powers to arrest.
Okay, well, thank you. Clear
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
What's that last, the original certification? I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I'm so
Representative
sorry.
Underwood. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please speak
My
up.
apologies.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Speak up, he said.
Yeah, I heard you said 3 weeks for the recertification. How much for the class itself, the initial, how long to be certified?
4 months.
4 months.
4 months.
Can I ask one more?
Oh, please, go ahead.
We've talked about how the bill's changed some between the original and today, and I guess this is a question for, Mr. Chairman. What's the possibilities of between now and next week, there being some more work done on the bill to get everybody on the same page? Or are we done? This is it and that's it?
Well, that was really the purpose of this public hearing, or this meeting today for the public hearing, to allow there to be the dialogue here from both sides, all parties. It's been very good questions that have been asked here from committee members as well. And I'm really quite appreciative to all of those that have made their sacrifice of time to be here in Montgomery, to be part of this process, to be able to hear the respective voices on either side. That's just the form in which we exist here with the issues of legislation. There are going to be differences of opinion, oftentimes with very common goals, but sometimes the way to get there, sometimes there's differences of opinion on that. So we've had very healthy dialogue here today on this. But anyway, so that's the whole purpose of this. There is time for, should this, committee, move the bill out with a favorable report, which will not be taking a vote today, but at a later time, there still is adequate time. There's 4 days remaining, legislative days. So there's adequate time with this being a Senate bill, should it get a favorable report for the bill to move forward. Representative Insler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was gonna ask that question if there's still enough time even in session to get it through, so glad to hear that. And as I think Representative Jackson and Sellers raised really important questions and points that I just wanna echo. One quick question I have though, has the Alabama Sheriff's Association taken any position on this or weighed in?
They haven't, because this is the first time that I've known, out of the 13 counties that there was opposition from the public that got to this point. Had it been, you know, and I could have contacted the Alabama Sheriff's Association, had someone here to represent me. But again, I think for what I'm asking for in this bill, it won't take a lot of people that it makes sense to. It just makes a lot of sense, as opposed to not making a lot of sense.
Let me, one more, I do think that seems to be maybe what's been expressed here today. There seems to be sort of a, I guess, from the state, and sort of a more broad than requirements for sheriff. And then relative to each of the respective counties, then that's where the counties then sort of do their due diligence in regards to any extra layering of qualifications for the sheriff at the local level.
Yes.
So that's why it's very unique to not a one size fits all for each one of the counties across the state.
That's correct. But this bill here, that I have here, if you all have a chance to look at all the others that's passed, the lingo, the messaging in it is almost identical. There's a few things that are different. I think mine has 5 years, and then some of them have 3. Some of them require a master's degree. Some of them require a bachelor's degree. The only thing I was asking for in the original one was an associate's degree, but that was fine.
Representative Lawrence.
No, I just had one quick question.
Yes.
This is in reference to it. She was talking about the pool and how many people will be qualified.
Yes.
You mentioned that y'all have prisons in the county, right? Two.
Yes.
Now, are all correction officers APO certified?
It depends, yes, but it depends now. Sometimes they are APO certified, but they go through a APO's correctional academy and instead of the APO's law enforcement academy. It's two different things. From my understanding now is anyone hired now in APOS, and I could be wrong, anybody hired in DLC now, they're sending them to the law enforcement part of it, even if they decide to stay in corrections. So everyone that's APOS certified will have license to arrest and have arrest powers.
So currently right now, if it's a correction officer that just have the correction officer certification, they will be disqualified from running for sheriff?
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions?
I would like to just say one thing. In Baldwin County, we passed something several years ago that's a lot more stringent than this. So I'm very well aware of one of the counties you're referring to, that this is mild compared to what we passed in Baldwin County.
A lot of people agree with you.
Representative Pepper.
What is the population of Barber County?
26, 27,000 maybe, I'm not sure.
As we bring this to, okay, Representative
I just
Jackson.
want to say in closing that I introduced and passed 2 local legislations this term, qualification of the sheriff. Clark County, which I live, and Monroe County, which I represent. And education is part of those bills. The day is gone for us to say a high sheriff. You know, there was a time you used to have a high sheriff, he did everything. But you got to have law enforcement. You got to know what to do when a crime occurs. We got too many people out here in the trigger finger. And see, we want people that can arrest a person without taking that person's rights. We got to know a person that can talk to a people when there's a protest, how to deal with a riot situation. See, all this come through law enforcement training, not on the street common sense. It takes some knowledge, and the only way you're gonna get knowledge, you gotta be educated to it. Then you get experience. I'm through. Thank you.
As we bring this to close, thank you, Sheriff. Final comment, then, Commissioner.
In closing, I'd like to say this, that, with the crime in Barber County, like you say, in my studies, the census population was, less than 24,000. We were above that in the, 2010 census, but it's steady declining, and the crime is bad. The crime is really bad. The sheriff department is housed in Clayton, and there's more crime right at the sheriff department, less than 1 mile from the sheriff department. A young man was walking to the store. You see the store from his house, he got gunned down. Nobody's been brought to justice yet. You understand what I'm saying? So, you don't have to be a police officer to be a sheriff. You know, even if the qualification to be a representative is not that strict. When we start letting people holding office decide who can run for the election process, we are messing with the integrity of an election. You see what I'm saying? There's no objectivity. So I felt like we could have got a little better with this
I
bill.
object to that, man.
For that.
The people elect.
I know.
We're not messing with the integrity of an election.
Yes.
The people make that choice.
Well, people won't have 40 candidates in Barber
But
County.
they still make the choice on 1 out of the 40.
Yeah, but still, when we decide to let people holding office decide who's going to run for office, we are messing with the election process. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, with that, then, we brought this public hearing to a close. I would then ask then the bill sponsor then, Senator Beasley, if you'd like to make any closing remarks, and also then Representative Ford, if you'd like to make any closing remarks, that you have that discretion as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I introduced the bill because I thought it was a good bill. Most all professions, you need experience because it's what this profession is. But in law enforcement, you definitely need experience. It's an administrative job, but it's also a law enforcement job. And if I didn't think this was a good bill, I would have sponsored it. Thank you for your time, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Senator Beasley. Representative Wadsworth.
As far as it's education, the only thing that was taken out of the bill from last year's and this year's.
That was the main thing, yes, sir.
Representative Ford, any closing
Well,
remarks?
I said enough already. I'm late for my meeting. 30 minutes for my coffee meeting right now. I gotta go to my coffee meeting. Me and Senator Lee put our head together and did the best we can with this bill. And we knew it was gonna be opposition from this side and the other side. And I done got so many, I could have brought you a stack of letters from my office. City of Louisville, support what we have done. City of Cloud, support what we have done. I ain't calling the folks nobody's name, I don't know who the chief is down there. But it's boo-hoo the folks supporting what we have done. The other folks knocking and saying, no. So, you know, the sheriff is a good friend of mine. Everybody on the county commission, I used to be on the county commission. Stayed there for 28 long years. I used to have friends on there. I don't think I got too many friends on there now. I sure don't. And the sheriff probably got less friends on there than anybody. So they done had some scrimmage and they know it. They know it. The sheriff after this and they, no. So let's just see how this is gonna play out.
Thank you so much, Representative Ford.
But I gotta go to my.
Once again, to the public, to public officials, to the elected officials, as well to this committee, then, thank you for your due diligence. I think you've had very healthy discussion. The committee, we don't have an exact time right now with the days on the decline here, but we will have a rather quick meeting whenever we might accomplish that, so you'll be alerted as quickly as we're able to find that slice of time to be able to have a vote based on this bill of SB 287. Once again, my thanks to all the public that have been part of this process. With that, we are adjourned.
Thank you, sir.